There lies a cradle of wildlife here, with plenty of water and lush grass in the Altai Mountains, north of the hinterland of Asia. Dry and cold winds from the northern plateau rule here. Therefore, it could be extremely dry in the summer and chilly in the winter. It is also the source of many rivers in the Altai Mountains. Our story of life starts from here. The river valley shelters many lives. Their livelihood depends on this place. Nature has shaped this place through thousands of years. Yet the story here is little known to man. Beaver Yuanbao saw the first rays of sunlight in early spring, after staying under the ice for nearly half a year. That is the first winter it spends alone. Yuanbao is a young male beaver. Young beavers stay with their family until sexual maturity around the age of 3. Afterwards, they will leave their family and start a new home. The ice and snow on the Ulungu River has not yet melted in April. The sun is accelerating its northward pace, sending a signal of warmth. Yuanbao just got out of the ice. Its body is in the weakest time of the year. It urgently needs food. Beaver is one of the oldest surviving species on Earth. The current shape of beaver appeared 2 million years ago, at the time of a large-scale animal extinction. Beaver survived, but its body shrank to only 1/10 of its original size. The search for food takes place throughout the whole night, and the branches of willow are the first choice for Yuanbao. It is a vegetarian, and in the river valley surrounded by large areas of gobi, it finds food to live on. It does not seem to rush to eat. Although its move is slow, the aim is clear. The branches in the early spring are slightly dry, and Yuanbao drags the branches it selected to the water's edge. At this point, a complete set of pre-meal preparations is over. The beaver is not interested in the woody parts of the branches. The water-rich bast is its favorite. Eating carefully under safe conditions is part of the beaver's habit. The Ulungu River Basin in the hinterland of Asia is one of the few beaver habitats on Earth. The Ulungu River flows over the wilderness in front of the Altai Mountains, forming an oasis sheltering life. The eagle is a predator in the river valley. It preys on rodents, but it also attacks single young mammals. Eagles often prey in groups. Foxes inhabiting the mountains often go to the valleys to fetch water and find food. Their activities are hard to trace, and their tracks unfixed. The beaver builds its lair by the river and spends half of its time in the water. It has powerful lung function, which can store enough air for it to dive underwater for 10 minutes or more. Its powerful tail fin helps it to move quickly, both for foraging and escape. Therefore, staying in the water is the safest for beavers. The Ulungu River and its upstream Borgan River retain the last wild beaver tribes in Asia. Summer is coming. The water volume in the lower reaches of the Ulungu River is capricious. Possible drying up haunts animals here. Without the protection of water, the fate of the beaver becomes uncertain. Beavers move clumsily and slowly on land as compared with in water. Before the river dries up, Yuanbao's lair is here. It moves cautiously and is never far away from the water. There are many such ponds on the riverbed, which becomes shelters for Yuanbao. Early summer is a season of bleakness in the river valley this year. The scallions in the pond are favorite food of the beaver. Yuanbao keeps eating. On dry days, there are not many food to choose from. Its food intake is increasing, but the food in the pond is running out. It has to venture out on land to gather more branches. The river has run out. The beaver's range of foraging expands, and the risk increases concomitantly. Relying on a developed sense of smell and hearing, Yuanbao maintains a high degree of sensitivity to its surroundings. Wild boars are regulars in the river valley. In the face of them, as long as beavers keep a low profile and stay away, they can be safe. Yuanbao has gradually fixed its course of action out of the initially disordered foraging expedition. This route is as close as possible to the nearest pond, and it can find a place to hide at any time. The days of dryness continues. Finding food becomes more difficult. So Yuanbao expands its range of foraging. It invades the realm of other animals. Or rather, it falls into a long-awaited trap. The aim of the eagle is clear. But Yuanbao finds protection in the branches. This is a field hunting, and patience is vital. A beaver under siege attracts more than eagles. Fox is cautious. It already smells a beaver, but it does not mount an attack. it is judging the best timing. Perhaps it also worries about the angered eagles. This is a violation of the eagle's domain. The eagles shift their aim from the beaver to the fox. Under the eagle's constant intimidation, the fox gives up. Obviously, it does not want to take risks for a prey that cannot be easily seized. In the gap between changes of aim, Yuanbao flees back to the pound. It is a game of the strong. They all think that the beaver is in their own pocket and besiege it, waiting for the time when it turns weak. Continuous drought breaks the river into ponds, and stagnant water quickly becomes muddy. The appearance of muskrat breaks the silence. It is a neighbor of the beaver. Muskrats, who are not picky eaters, devour everything they can to survive. Compared with beavers, muskrats do not care about living environment. In the worst days, this place is a muskrat's entire sphere of activity. Compared with muskrats, life of the beaver is much more difficult. At the crossroads of choice, the fat body of beaver becomes a disadvantage. This night, Yuanbao chooses a new foraging route. As the water level drops, the previous riverbank it has often visited becomes almost unreachable, challenging the limits of the beaver's movement. Yuanbao did not return to the pound this night. Continuous drought makes the night atmosphere particularly disturbing. In the sight of the wild boars, all obstacles encountered will surely be destroyed. They come and go like a tide. In the following days, we find Yuanbao in different pounds. It is moving towards the upper reaches of the river, cautiously. In August, heavy rain arrives as usual. The rainwater flows along the streams to join the main river. Yuanbao is in the main channel, making its way towards the upper reaches of the Ulungu River steadily. This is a long migration journey. Yuanbao needs to find a safe home again after bidding farewell to its home in winter and spring. The Borgan River originates from the Altai Mountains and flows from north to south into the upper reaches of the Ulungu River. It flows for hundreds of kilometers with abundant water and dense forests on both banks. Yuanbao stops here. It starts to select branches along the river busily. It cuts down the collected branches into sections. The delicate branches become food. The thicker ones are segmented again. Soon, these wood sections will come in handy as a bedding in its damp lair. The beaver is full of wisdom in details of life. Busy building its lair, Yuanbao has to shorten its sleeping time during the day. After completion of lair building, Yuanbao pushes up a mound on the shore and urinates on it. Like many mammals, beavers also have a strong sense of territory. In addition to lair building and territory touring, Yuanbao spends the bountiful time left enjoying the plentiful food in the river valley. With full energy and massive food, everything seems so beautiful. This fattening up period is very important in the years when beavers grow up. In midsummer, the river valley is full of water and provides a great living space for animals. Yuanbao sometimes spends time on land. After all, expansion is part of its nature. But this time, it seems to have gone too far. A momentary negligence may lead to disaster. This is not an accident, but the result of patient waiting. It is not the first time that they smell each other when they meet in the grass. Faced with foxes, beavers are born weak. Yuanbao's move is unexpected. The fox tries to stop Yuanbao from returning to the riverside. Time is not on Yuanbao's side, but it shows no cowardice. The two are stalemated into the riverside, and the fox finally retreats. After all, this is a young fox who lacks a skill of catching a prey bigger than itself. Yuanbao escapes out of luck. The weak one fortunately survives this time. Yuanbao, frightened, once again embarks on a journey of migration, looking for a safer place to settle down. Yuanbao dares not to go ashore easily in an unfamiliar environment. Where will Yuanbao's future home be? Yuanbao runs into another beaver by the river and asks if it is allowed in. Beavers pay strong attention to territories and rarely accept the same sex. The owner of this territory does not expel Yuanbao with much effort. Obviously, it also lives alone. Beavers are social animals, foraging and living together. Yuanbao perhaps can stop being alone. It is a splendid time of September now. Yuanbao's new home locates in a river bay where water flows slowly. They start new construction work. Yuanbao swims upstream and downstream to choose a suitable lair location. One entrance of the lair is underwater and the other above ground. The underwater entrance is densely covered with branches. In autumn, Yuanbao is about to carry out a great project. For safety reasons, it begins to build a dam not far downstream from the lair. It first pushes the soil into a high ridge underwater, then uses the water flow to transport stick branches it collected to the ridge, and finally inserts them vertically on the high ridge to serve as wooden piles. Branches, silt, and stones are piled around the wooden piles. It is the most difficult part of dam building and takes several days. When the branches are exposed to the air and thus able to block the floating objects from upstream, the fundamental work of the beaver dam declares the completion. Afterwards, it keeps spreading debris in front of the dam evenly, and then piles up mud from the pond. This process will last for several weeks. The dam is higher day by day, providing the beaver's living environment with enough water depth and making its home safe enough. Building the dam is full of wisdom. A certain depth of water not only protects the entrance, but also stores a lot of food underwater. After building up the new home, Yuanbao will spend a long winter here. In autumn, it begins to store food for winter. In this process, Yuanbao always pays attention to even the slightest change in the periphery of its territory. Foxes are also waiting for opportunities to launch an attack. Yuanbao has constructed a barrier, making clever use of water. Dam building is a life and death game for beavers. Yuanbao's migration comes to an end. Yet the largest migration in the river valley has just begun. It is the human migration that will last for several months. People, rushing cattle and sheep, walk down the mountains and try to return to the valley before winter. This is an annual ceremony with singing and dancing, celebrating the healthy growth of livestock. The arrival of cattle and sheep disturbs the calmness of the valley. They respect no territories of others. This is the autumn valley, and the cattle and sheep are going home. Restlessness fills the air. The shepherd dog has returned to its territory, and it faithfully performs its duty to protect the herd. Obviously, it is interested in Yuanbao's ground lair. The shepherd dog's intense desire to detect hastens Yuanbao's uneasiness. Yuanbao leaves the lair and dives into the water. Yuanbao draws the dog off to the dam, away from its ground lair. The unpredictable water depth in front of the dam might discourage the dog. Two intelligent animals confront each other for the first time, both emphasizing their possession of the land. It is the busiest season for the beavers. All night, they shuttle back and forth on the shore and in the water, inserting wickets around the lair. These food will help them weather through the cold winter. going to and fro without stop all night. Yuanbao is carefully trimming the branches so that more food can be stored in a limited space. With a rigorous nature, the beaver pays more attention to details. A muskrat is also busy searching for food. It also needs to stock food before winter comes. The dam inspection takes place every day. It is a barrier that protects life. As a dam blocks the water and traps the fish, a muskrat comes uninvited. It greedily preys, traversing the dam back and forth, and even looks for shortcuts by cutting across the bottom of the dam. The beaver's dam is about to collapse. When Yuanbao arrives, the water in front of the dam is almost bottomed out. The problem is serious. It means that the entrance under the water and the food stored with hard work will be exposed. Its home is in jeopardy. Yuanbao fights hard to repair the dam. It pushes up the pound mud to the gap and uses all available branches to fill the gap. Yuanbao repeats these actions over and over again. It is a race against time. It is about life and death. While Yuanbao is repairing the dam, its partner is busy hoarding food, without a minute's rest. Trusting each other and sharing the same aim, Yuanbao and his partner save their home in different ways. Winter is approaching. When will the tribulation end? In just a few days, the dam is rebuilt, guarding Yuanbao's homeland quietly and persistently. Yuanbao finally builds a warm and safe home before snow covers the valley. This is a life story, a secret hidden deep in the valley. As long as the rivers keep running and life goes on. Tales of life abound.